is what are some of the issues you see with variation? And one of the issues is you can see people doing it too much, aka program hopping. So a lot of like the issues with like over variation are the issues with like not respecting specificity. You know, even like when you first, okay, here's a bit of research for you guys. So they had like newbie lifters and they had them adapt to programs. And they tested, okay, how much they grew through each different stage of the program. As much as I talk later on in life how, you know, adaptations to stimulus kind of get lower and lower, what we found with them, the initial people with hypertrophy, in a 12-week program, they actually grew more weeks 7 to 12 than they did 1 to 6, even though the stimulus was like way more fresh and that essentially had a bigger stimulus at the start. The reason was because a lot of the adaptations were to more of the neural level, more learning the exercise and stuff like that. And you actually start to see the gains after repeating the exercise. Stability, techniques no longer a factor, and you get better and better and better. And that correlates with hypertrophy. For example, so sometimes you just need to battle out a bit longer. And I understand, you know, some of us like our inner West Side in the sense that we want to change things over and over and over, but you will run into those issues. If you're trying to get a good win at one thing, practice it on the skill acquisition side. If you're trying to make gains, you need to progressively overload that movement, or at least a lot of benefits to doing it that way. You know, so particularly the program hoppers, I see people change their complete whole workouts every week. You know, I see them change like every exercise, change the order, change the rep schemes even. And it's just not the way to go. I mean, you want to make sure you can, okay, did my thing work? Well, you need time to see if it works for starters, and a week is enough time at this level of the game. No one like gains 5 kilos in a week or whatever, you know.
The comment saying when people do all that, like, what do they generally say? They're like, oh, I'm changing it up right now just to, I don't want my body to adapt. But it's like, that's the goal right now. We're looking for adaptations. It's just like, but I don't want that. Are you sure? But you know, like, you know, I've been hearing that constant saying for the last like seriously 8 years. Like the reason why people change things all of a sudden because I'm trying to not adapt. I don't want my body to adapt to what I'm doing, so I change it up to, you know, trick it. That's really their mindset behind it. But I don't know if you guys have heard that, but that's just sometimes a word that gets thrown around. Which basically relates to what you're saying. You know, those people that change their rep scheme every week, change their stimulus of training every week. Like 1 week it's just like all metabolic focus, and then next week, you know, let's PB like 1 rep maxes. It's just like, the hell, you know. Back to what you were like kind of talking about though.
Were you back on podcast?
Yeah. I was just gonna say back to what you were talking about, like people that program hop, like, you know, those, like for example, most people program hop, like 1 because they either got bored of what they were doing, 2 because they've just ridiculously fucked themselves to the ground, right? And then the following week they're like, I cannot do that again. I may as well just deload again. Most people spend probably like 50 weeks of the year just like deloading because they either fuck themselves too much 1 week and the next week they're just sitting there like crying away, or 2, they're just, you know, like they're just always changing programs, and whether that week 1 is like an ease in or it is a fuck myself to the ground thing, there's never any kind of growth or, you know, movement towards any type of specific like goals. It's literally it's literally one thing or like one end or the other kind of thing. And so there's a lot of obviously that, you know, issues that come along with that, but it's more so not just psychological. Well, sorry, not just physically, but psychologically as well. Yeah.
Because when you program hop, or at least when you change, like changing block to block can be good because it resensitizes systems. So if you're banging away to hypertrophy for a while, like the mechanical tension pathway, and you do something more aerobic or something more neural or something like that, one of the benefits is you're getting adaptations in that way that might transfer. But one of the other things is your thresholds to volume, intensity, basically just everything on the mTOR pathway start to resensitize. So you can get more adaptations out of less. Now, the thing is, when you change every week, you don't get that full resensitization. You need longer than that. You need time for the heart to grow fonder in terms of missing it, you know?
It's a very nice way to put it.
The quote kind of worked, kind of didn't,
Emotional.
but, you know, we'll give it a
Just
shot.
made me
Yeah.
emotional.
Oh man, Frantic, you cute fuck.
Yeah, that's adaptation.
So,
thank you for watching the Forge podcast. If you enjoyed it, we'd love for you to subscribe. If you want to find out more about us, check the description. And as always, thank you for listening.